Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well, friends, it's time to look at another sea monster related movie. And if you may recall, during my Sea Beast blog a couple months ago, one of the sea creatures that I mentioned was the Kraken. And so far, I've only blogged 3 films that featured a Kraken. For example, there was Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation, Ray Harryhausen's Clash of the Titans, and of course, Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest. And while normally these creatures are described as enormous tentacle like cephalopod creatures who appear off the coast of Norway, in these 3 films, the Kraken is portrayed pretty differently. For example, the one in Clash is portrayed as a giant 4-armed humanoid creature with a grim face, scales, and a fish tail, and it seems like the kind of creature that kills victims and terrorizes certain lands, either through the demands of the gods or for pleasure. The one in Pirates is an enormous cephalopod-like sea creature that does the bidding of Davy Jones by pursuing the souls of men who bear the black spot, a mark that appears on men who are overdue on their debt to Jones. And may I remind you, it's one of my top 13 scariest monsters in a live-action film. As for the one from Hotel Transylvania 3, well, this one is a charming and friendly creature who lives in the oceans of Atlantis, and he loves to sing and perform. But when he's corrupted by Van Helsing's instrument of destruction, the Kraken becomes mindless, vicious, and destructive, and he would attack anybody on sight. But have you ever thought that a monstrous creature such as the Kraken could ever be portrayed as a protector of the ocean? Well, that is an interesting question, and luckily, it's the subject of my blog today. Released on June 30th, 2023, the movie is Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. Now, on for the plot of the movie. Ruby Gillman is a sweet and awkward high school student from Oceanside, California, who discovers that she's a direct descendant of the warrior Kraken queens. The Kraken are sworn to protect the oceans of the world against the vain, power-hungry mermaids. Destined to inherit the throne from her commanding grandmother, Ruby must use her newfound powers to protect those she loves most. So, what do I personally think? Well, while it is a bit cliched, not only did I enjoy it, but I found it to be a pretty relatable and hardcore movie. And I think it's equally as good as the Little Mermaid remake. But now, let's move on to Mustang notes. In June 2021, the GWW reported that a film originally titled Meet the Gillmans was in production at Dreamworks Animation, with casting taking place and an expected release year of 2022. Former SpongeBob SquarePants showrunner Paul Tibbitt was announced as the director, with Pam Brady confirmed to write the movie. Production was also expected to start in 2022, but then on March 14th, 2023, it was announced that Kirk D'Amico, who previously directed Vivo, would replace Tibbitt as director. Also, according to Animation Magazine, producer Kelly Cooney Sasella stated that the movie has been in the works for several years. It was first pitched to DreamWorks about a family of sea monsters that were moved to the land and are hiding in plain sight. She stated, "Our heroine is such a lovable character, and I'm so excited for audiences to meet her and fall in love with her the way that we have, because she starts the movie as a quirky, slightly insecure, but big-hearted character. But she's harboring a secret that she can't tell her friends. But ultimately, the Kraken is awakened inside her, and there's no hiding this. She learns that her destiny is so much more than being an average high school teenager, and she's destined to be the next protector of the seas. Her journey is self-discovery and embracing that side of her that had been dormant for so long, and for her to become a fully actualized character was such an exciting story for me to tell on such a grand scale. Plus, director Kirk D'Amico stated that he cited John Hughes films like Easy A, Lady Bird, and Booksmart as his inspirations. As for the animation, well, to me, the CGI animation for this movie is pretty good. In a way, the character designs are reminiscent to the animation from the Cloudy movies, and be glad that I'm not like Animat who hates these movies. Also, I think the town of Oceanside, California looks very well designed, and it almost makes me think of several Californian beach towns like Newport Beach, Venice Beach, Morro Bay, and San Diego, in a way. Plus, I think the underwater scenery looks good too. While it can be pretty dark at times, I think the Kraken Kingdom is very breathtaking, and I like that it shows a bit of light green mixed with blue. Also, one scene in the movie involving Ruby and Chelsea kind of make me think of the animation from the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. Also, we learned that only the female members of the Gillman family can turn into giant krakens, while the male members are small and amphibious. Well, I'm glad that I can never look like that underwater, since, as Mustang Prince, I can only transform into a human seahorse hybrid. As for the actual story itself, well, while I do appreciate Kirk D'Amico's inspirations from the John Hughes films that I mentioned, it kind of feels a bit reminiscent to The Little Mermaid 2: Return to the Sea, Pixar's Turning Red, and of course Disney's Sky High, due to the film centering on a teenage girl who's forbidden by her mom to go near the ocean, has a crush on a boy, has 3 BFFs, turns into a seemingly monstrous creature when she comes of age, and makes friends with a person who manipulates her into obtaining an ancient object, and later betrays her, and is revealed to be someone from her family's past. But that doesn't mean I find the movie to be bad, just predictable is all. Plus, I find it kind of funny that this is DreamWorks' second underwater animated movie, first being Shark Tale, and the fact that it was released around the same time as the Little Mermaid live-action remake. And that's basically all I got for Mustang notes. So let's move on to the characters and the voice actors who brought them to life. Our main character, Ruby Gillman, is played by Lana Condor, whom was in X-Men Apocalypse, Patriots Day, and Alita Battle Angel. You know, I really like Ruby. While she is a quiet, shy, and awkward 15-year-old freshman girl who's trying to fit in at Oceanside High School by acting as normal as possible, I like that she's a mathlete while tutoring her crush Connor. Speaking of which, that scene where she daydreams about going to prom with him makes me want to say,
someone is quite the smitten kitten.
Also, like most teenagers, Ruby is occasionally embarrassed by her parents, and she sees her little brother Sam as annoying, but overall fine. Plus, Ruby feels like she belongs in the ocean due to her being well drawn to it. And I think her Kraken form looks absolutely incredible. And I find it awesome that she's a royal Kraken. However, while she is able to transform mostly in the water, there are a couple moments where she transforms on land, like during the scene in the library after seeing bioluminescent suction cups on her fingers, and the scene after an argument between her and her mother. Speaking of which, our next character is Ruby's mom, Agatha, voiced by Toni Collette, whom was in M. Night Shyamalan's The Sixth Sense, along with the late Richard Williams' The Thief and the Cobbler, Laika's The Box Trolls, and of course, Krampus. Agatha is the #1 real estate agent in Oceanside, and like most parents, she's a very put together, slightly controlling, positive person, and she's stated to be overprotective towards her children, as she has made a large list of anti-ocean rules that Ruby has to follow. And she even denies Ruby's request to go to prom, initially all because it was set on the ocean. And she also has her whole family lie to everybody that they're Canadian. Plus, I find her to be very similar to Queen Ariel and Ming Li due to her hiding the truth about her inner giant Kraken and her complicated history with her own mother. Also to note, before she started a family on land, Agatha was once a fierce Kraken warrior who trapped the evil mermaids for all eternity, and she hid away the trident of Oceanus, leading her to run away to the surface in hopes to keep her family safe. The other members of Ruby's family include her dad, Arthur, voiced by Coleman Domingo, and her little brother Sam, voiced by Blue Chapman. Arthur is the supportive dad who makes crafts with bottles, and Sam, while a little annoying, is a very energetic and loyal second grader who likes to extend his legs to overmatch Ruby's height, and he hopes to become a dodgeball champion using his Kraken abilities. We also have Nessie, the Gillman's family sea dog, whom I find is the cutest character in the whole film, due to Nessie being emotionally intelligent, and he occasionally cheers up his family members whenever they're feeling down. Plus, I like that Nessie covers for Ruby while she's away in the ocean against her mother's wishes, and I find it clever that he's named after the Loch Ness Monster. Next we come to Ruby's Uncle Brill, voiced by Sam Richardson, whom I previously talked about in my blog of Hocus Pocus 2. In my eyes, Brill is a great character. He's kind, caring, goofy, and enthusiastic. And I love the moment where he gives Ruby words of encouragement while she was trapped underneath a pile of rubble. Plus, I find it very hilarious that Brill was being ambushed by a flock of seagulls while he was trying to eat a corn dog. Next we come to the absolute best character in the whole film, Grandmama, the warrior queen of the Seven Seas, voiced by Jane Fonda, best known from the book club movies Elena of Avalor and Luck. I find her to be a strong and wise Kraken with a sarcastic sense of humor. While she does love her family, she is angered by Agatha's decisions. She does tend to get a bit mad sometimes, but she's always able to keep her cool in the end, and she does go to therapy, so she is getting her money's worth. Also, I really love the parts where she teaches Ruby how to use her Kraken abilities, like her speed, strength, laser eyes, and her body armor. Next we have Ruby's BFFs, Margot, Trevin, and Bliss, voiced by Lisa Koshy, Eduardo Franco, and Ramona Young. To me, while they don't have a lot of screen time, these guys are pretty interesting supporting characters, like during the scenes where they try to encourage Ruby to go to prom. Also, I find it cool that Trevin is a gamer and Bliss is a goth girl. As for Margot, well, not only is she dramatic, but I think she sticks out the most out of the three. Plus, she has 2 MLP references. One being that she has a confetti cannon like Pinkie Pie does, and 2, like Priya's voice actress, Maitri Ramakrishnan, Lisa Koshy is a Zipstorm voice actress. Crazy, huh? Our next character is Captain Gordon Lighthouse, voiced by Will Forte, who was not only in the Cloudy movies, but he's also been in Scoob, The Willoughbys, Weird, The Al Yankovic Story, and America the Motion Picture. I swear, that movie is the most unpatriotic movie ever made. Anyway, Captain Lighthouse is a crazy old sailor in Oceanside who works as a tour guide using his ambitious boat bus, and he moonlights as a sea monster hunter. To me, like Captain Ahab, Gordon is pretty weird and eccentric. Plus, he's obsessed with hunting down a kraken after seeing Ruby's kraken form from a far distance. And he's also very suspicious of the Gillman family. Plus, I find it kind of interesting that he has a crab partner named Darby. Next up we have Connor, voiced by Jabuki Young White, who previously voiced Ethan Clade in Disney's Strange World. Connor is a skater boy whom Ruby has a crush on, and to me, he seems like a nice and chill guy. Plus, I like that he doesn't judge or ignore Ruby at all, and I like that he values Ruby for teaching him math. And he likes when Ruby calls him her algebae or her algebro. Also, I really love the part where they eventually become a couple during prom. Finally, we come to Chelsea Vanderzee, voiced by Annie Murphy. Now, when we first see her, Chelsea becomes the new girl at Oceanside High, and she takes credit for Ruby saving Connor's life, as well as basking in the students' praise. Now, to be quite honest, I kind of like this character. While she does look like a spitting image of Ariel, and I think her white sneakers look pretty cool, I like that she inspires Ruby to become a bolder individual, and I like the scene where she saves Ruby from Captain Lighthouse. Plus, I think they, at first, make a pretty good friendship bond. Also, I think her mermaid form is really gorgeous, though I feel like her tail fin looks like something that was taken right out of How to Train Your Dragon. Speaking of which, Chelsea also references a couple other Dreamworks films. For example, she references Megamind, where she calls a student rando, like Metro Man calling somebody random citizen, and Madagascar, where she says mother flippin', which is a substitute phrase to censor a curse phrase that no kid should ever hear in these movies. Like when Alex says, darn you all to heck, and Marty saying, oh, sugar honey iced tea. And believe me, writers need to use these substitute words more often in these family-friendly films so they don't set a bad example for the kids. Anyway, spoiler alert, in reality, Chelsea is actually an evil mermaid queen named Nerissa, who has a rivalry with Grandmama and Agatha, and her evil plan is to steal the Trident of Oceanus back in order to take them down. However, because only a Kraken can obtain it, she manipulates Ruby to get it back while bonding with her, which to me kind of makes Nerissa like a mix of Vanessa, Morgana, and Royal Pain. Also, I think Nerissa's giant mermaid form is very ferocious, but also very creative, due to her body being red, blue, and spiky, and her hair being made of water. Plus, I thought the part where Ruby fights her was absolutely awesome, especially when she manages to destroy the Trident using her mathlete knowledge. And now on to my final words. Overall, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken is a pretty good animated film to come from Dreamworks Animation. While the story is pretty cliched, I still think it makes a decent coming-of-age film. The animation is very creative, stylish, and breathtaking, and I like how the film portrays krakens as protectors of the ocean. Plus, the main character Ruby is a very relatable character. Her mom Agatha is very overprotective and controlling, but still means well. Grandmama is a great mentor character. The side characters like Margot and Uncle Brill were very memorable. Connor is a nice guy, and I think he and Ruby make a sweet couple together. Captain Lighthouse was weird, and the main villain, Nerissa, while having a nice friendship bond with Ruby, was a very twisted and ferocious mermaid. Also, I thought the comedy in this movie was pretty cute, and the soundtrack ranges from fun to catchy. So, if you haven't seen this movie yet, make sure you go big and see it before summer ends. And even if it does bomb, I'm sure it'll gain a cult following for animation fans and Dreamworks fans. As for my rating, I'll give it an 85% out of 100. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog, where we look at a Disney dog sequel that I promised to blog this month. Mustang Power.